right, so da-da-da, cue the music, da-da-da, the band, the dancing girls, and whatever else. This is the
Welcome to
podcast.
the fucking podcast. Time for the fucking podcast.
That's Matt. That's
Let's
Matt up here,
go.
and I'm James.
Yeah.
We didn't do this last week
All right.
because it was a holiday weekend or something. I don't remember why we didn't do it. It was just,
Yeah, it was the holiday. We just decided not to.
but so much has happened in the past 2 weeks.
Yes, one of the greatest things to happen was that war criminal Henry Kissinger kicked the bucket. Yay!
Yay for dead Kissinger.
Jimmy
Yay.
Carter outlived him. I love it.
My God, though, did you see Carter at Rosalind's funeral? Holy shit!
Yeah, he doesn't have much time left for sure.
I
But he outlived Kissinger.
that's a
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, some of Kissinger's greatest hits, okay? During the Vietnam War, he secretly also led wars in Cambodia and Laos, carpet bombing those countries. Since those were secret wars, there was nobody watching it, so they didn't follow any rules of war. They just bombed the shit out of both of those countries. Both those countries still experience unexploded ordnance blowing up and killing people today.
Yep.
Other things he did, he fought leftism wherever he could. He supported a overthrow in Chile of a leftist government. Argentina, he supported a struggle against the elected leftist government. Guy was a real piece of shit, and he will not be missed by me.
No, and this is not in his defense, but every administration of the United States government has opposed a leftist government everywhere on the planet. It has been it's been the mission of the United States to crush every other government that doesn't play ball with them, without exception.
True. Even today.
Yes.
Even today.
You know, I made a comment on somebody's post that was talking about like sort of all of these circumstances of everything that's going on right now, and I think I've made this comment multiple times, but if all of what's happening right now that has people paying attention to whatever, take your pick, if this winds up being just another blip on the fucking radar screen and something that our attention shifts to in the coming weeks. There's no coming back from that. If this doesn't break the system, then nothing is going to break the system. I can't imagine with the level of, and I wasn't alive I was alive in the 60s, but I was 4 years old, so I don't have like a real awareness of what the civil rights uprising looked like and felt like and what it was like to live in that. But that broke the system. That elicited real change. And there has been nothing in my lifetime that has garnered the attention of so many people and shifted people's opinions toward the truth to compare anything to. So if my point again, if this doesn't bring about real change on multiple levels, then nothing will. I got nothing from there.
I disagree that you haven't seen real change in your lifetime, because I think we've seen real change in the last 15 years or so. Not the kind of change we want, but we have moved significantly further right as a country in the last 15 years.
Oh, for sure.
Than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it started with the Tea Party, and it's continued through today. They've got real power, and they've made real change.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So, when I'm talking about change, I'm talking about change for the better. The fact that we have
I know. But my point is, it's getting worse. It just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, for sure.
We're losing, for sure. But you're right. I mean, the popular support to change for real positive change is higher than I've ever seen it. But will that translate to the ballot box? Will it translate to a change in our elected leaders' decision-making process and what kind of bills they pass? I don't know if it will.
Well, that's a good point, and that brings me to something else that I wanted to touch on, and this is as good a time as any, is that I'm going to branch out into Trump's legal woes for a second and make a specific point about this and how that branches into what you just said. Trump's legal woes don't matter fuck all. They don't make any difference. No, I don't care if he has 900 fucking felonies on him. I don't care if he gets convicted. I don't care if he gets sentenced to prison. It doesn't change a fucking thing. What it does, what all of those dynamics do, is graphically point out the absolute broken nature of the entire system on so many levels. It illustrates how many. First of all, the fact that somebody like him, with what he has today, even compared to what he's going to have in the coming months, because Nevada's going to indict him, New Mexico is going to indict him, all of these things should disqualify somebody from running for president. It doesn't even disqualify him from running, much less it doesn't disqualify him from holding the fucking office. This is a systemic, abject failure of our system. And name for me one politician sitting or seeking to be seated, one politician who has identified what those tragedies in our system are and said, I'm going to campaign on changing these things. We're going to campaign on getting constitutional amendments to clarify who should be holding office and who should. Not a single fucking person. Nobody. I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know of any.
No, I don't think you're wrong. And that's because the Democrats, we've talked about this before, they like that they have that to stand on in the election cycle, how terrible things are getting. And, you know, all they ever do is keep it the same. They never make it better. They just keep it the same. And then Republicans get power and they make it worse. And then Democrats get power and they keep it the same.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? And it's just been stepping down since Roosevelt.
Jilly in the TikTok Live put in a thought saying, I think Nikki Haley will wind up with the GOP nomination. I think that's entirely possible.
It is.
There are several things that could happen in the coming months that would, they aren't going to fit. Nothing that could happen in the next few months is going to fix anything, but it could put a different landscape in front of us. One is if the GOP does not nominate Trump as their candidate. That changes things, because what will happen from that is Trump will run as a fucking loose cannon, and he will pull votes away from the GOP. So with anybody but Trump as the GOP nominee, the GOP loses the White House, almost certainly. The other dynamic that could have highly beneficial, and I think if the GOP doesn't nominate Trump, and if they primary Biden and someone else can be the Democrat nominee, that sets up another change in the landscape. Again, none of this changes anything that's systemically wrong with so many things, but all the foregone conclusions that everybody is wringing their hands about right now, there's going to be Trump versus Biden. Nobody fucking knows this at this point. And there are things at play that could change who those two nominees are for each party. And one, it's got to be primary Biden, and two, it's got to be anybody but Trump.
Quite frankly, either one of them may not live to the election day. That's possible. It's entirely possible.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if this is on the show notes, but it might be. But did you watch any of that? I didn't watch it when it was live, but I saw clips from the Gavin Newsom, Ron DeSantis debate.
Oh, yes.
Why the fuck was a candidate for president, right? Debating a non-candidate for president.
A non-running governor.
Why? Why? That made no sense.
Because his ego was bruised. There have been back and forth between California and Florida, between the governors, for months. And I think Newsom knew this. Newsom knew that he could bait. I think he even admitted that DeSantis took the bait for this debate. And so his ego was bruised. And I made a comment just based on DeSantis's presentation. He always looks like he just had a new face installed, but it hasn't been calibrated yet. The calibration has failed.
He does like little fake smiles. It look like creepy smirk.
The dude is insane. Oh my
Oh my
god.
gosh.
And
I don't
he,
know how he ever got it. I mean, I never really paid attention to DeSantis until he started running for president. I never really knew that much about him. I don't live in Florida. You do, so you probably know a lot more about him than I do. How the fuck did he get elected governor? Was he
well,
not
it was
like
a
this
shit.
when
It
he was
was a
running for
shit show.
governor?
Yeah, it was an absolute shit show. His opponent and the other people that were trying to um, run in place of him, and it was just it's a all of fucking Florida's representation is a fucking clown show. The only person that had that, and I voted for her, she ran against Matt Gaetz, was Rebecca Johnson. She had common sense, and she was a better person all the way around. But DeSantis destroyed her, like professionally went after her and lynched her to the point where she had to flee the state with her children and move to Tennessee or something. And it's just fucking this state is fucking awful. And I don't know that it's ever been anything but. I've only been here since 2011, so.
Uh,
Hey, can you guys in the live, can you hear Matt when he's talking on the podcast? Somebody tell me yeah or nay that you can hear him or you can't. I got the volume turned up all the way. I just didn't want to give you feedback. Like electric feedback.
all right, you want to talk about Elon Musk?
Oh.
So I wanted to have a video for this. Well, there's a few things. Not all of it's in the show notes, but there's a few things I can say about Musk. I wanted to have a video for this, but I struggled to upload it to our platform here. But he was asked about, because he went to Israel after liking that anti-Semitic post and saying this is the truth, right? Then he went to Israel and met with Netanyahu and some other people there. And then he was at this New York Times press event, being interviewed, and he said, the interviewer asked him if that was an apology tour because of all the advertisers that had left since he liked that anti-Semitic post. And he said advertisers can go fuck themselves. If you can't blackmail me with money, don't advertise, go fuck yourselves. That's what he said. And then he went on to say that will kill the company.
Yeah.
And the people, and he said the people of Earth, like he's some fucking alien. The people of Earth will know that it was the advertisers that killed the company, and not me. It wasn't me.
Well, yeah, and what he was,
how insane that guy is.
Well, but in saying that, he was blackmailing Bob Iger and the other companies that pulled out. He's claiming they're blackmailing him, and so he blackmails them. That he's going to retaliate. Hey, I'm focused.
I don't think he knows what blackmail is, because that's definitely not blackmail. He just I don't want to advertise on your platform because it makes my business look bad. That's not blackmail.
When he made that response, he embodied the insolent, petulant, spoiled brat child. Just the way he made those comments, his demeanor, his inflection, everything as it has always been. He's just a spoiled fucking brat.
The reporters in the audience, a few of them, not very many, laughed when so he said advertisers go fuck themselves, and then he said it again, like more clearly, and used his hand, go fuck yourself. And then there was a couple of laughs, and I am 100% certain they were laughing at him.
Oh, yeah.
They were not laughing at his joke. They're laughing like, I can't believe this guy is saying what he's saying, and he is just so insane. But I like Twitter, and I'm sad that it's going to die, but it is going to die.
Well, but what'll happen is that he won't be able to make the payment for the loan that he had to buy Twitter with, and then the bank will seize it and sell it to somebody else. So Twitter will wind up being owned by somebody probably almost certainly more competent than Musk. But but the thing that you pointed out where people were laughing at him, what that reminded me of was, remember when Trump addressed the United Nations and talked about it as the greatest presidency, and people laughed at him? He was fucking clueless that they were laughing at him.
Yes, he was.
This is a personality issue. This is a narcissistic personality that nobody could possibly oppose me. And all these fucking billionaires can go to hell. Every fucking one of them.
So speaking of billionaires, Jim Irsay, I know you said you don't know who he is. He owns the Indianapolis Colts. I have no idea how he made his billions, but he's been famous partially because on Twitter, he's on Twitter. He's active on Twitter, and he's talked a lot about his struggle with addiction. Right.
Oh, okay.
So a couple months ago, he got a DUI, and I would just like to point out he didn't spend a minute in jail. He just got some fines. But he chose to go on to X, formerly known as Twitter, recently and say that our system is oppressive to white billionaires.
Oh, okay. I did hear that comment.
All right. Now, how he can experience privilege, which is what he did. If he was being oppressed, he would have went to jail for his DUI, At
Well,
least. What he experienced was privilege because he really had no consequences.
mm-hmm.
And so I don't understand where he's coming from on that, but he probably shares the traits with Trump and Musk where, he thinks everybody loves him and anything that goes against him is some kind of conspiracy or oppression or something.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that because he's so ubiquitous on Twitter that he's aware of what the trend has been over the past couple of years, where everything from orcas to human beings have been trying to eliminate billionaires. And the opinion is completely clear. And so he might have been responding to a little bit of that in his perception that he's being oppressed. Because the killer whales.
Yeah, he probably got some comments on Twitter that led him to feel that way.
Yep.
Good. I don't care. I eagerly anticipate the end of the billionaire class.
I don't know that that's ever going to happen, but I'm happy that we are digging our claws in and trying to at least get our pound of flesh right now.
All right. George Santos is now a former congressman. So this is a very rare event. It happened 3 times after the Civil War where they expelled the members of the House that had fought for the Confederacy.
Uh-huh.
And it's happened twice since then with Congress members that were convicted of federal crimes. This is the first. He hasn't been convicted yet. He was only charged. He probably will be convicted.
Yeah.
But they decided to remove him anyway, and it was funny to me. Now, I wonder, he stood on the floor. One of the people that, before the vote, when one of the Republicans spoke against him on the floor, he stood up to defend himself by accusing that Republican of being a woman beater. So yeah. I don't know what else he might have to say about the Republican caucus.
Well, he made several, I don't know what they're called, but they were official motions on the floor that named specific people. In fact, I saw a write-up of the individuals that he called out for different things that should be, subject to the same consequences that he was under the ethics rules. So it's filed. The things that he's purporting about other people have been filed, so they have to be addressed. Something has to follow that filing.
Yeah.
I don't know how all the internals of that works.
Yeah, all 4 of the Republicans in leadership positions voted not to expel him. I don't really understand why, because they're going to get another Republican in his place, almost certainly. It's a very Republican district. There's going to be a special election. It's probably going to be another Republican. So why were they so against expelling him? I don't really know. Unless it was because they're afraid that other members are going to get expelled because of, his accusations or whatever.
Yeah, that's always been the thing, is that people talked about why the Republicans didn't go after Trump sooner is because Trump has dirt on them and he's going to expose them and blah, 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 blah. I don't know that any of that's true, because if any of that was going to happen in the case of Trump, it would have happened long ago. Maybe if he doesn't get the nomination, he's gonna pull out all the stops and post nude pictures of Chuck Schumer or something. I don't know, but Santos is gone, and it was glory. I was watching the house janitor or whatever remove his sign from his door. It was just fucking beautiful. People were there applauding, and it was nice.
Yeah, I wonder what he'll do for his next act. I mean, it's likely he'll fade away. But we thought Trump was going to fade away after he lost in 2020, and he did not. So
I think what Santos is going to do is disappear. He's going to skip the country.
Yeah.
He's not built for standing trial and going to prison. That man's not. He's not going to be okay with that.
But I mean, he'd go to white collar prison. I think. I don't know if
he would, but I don't think he's even built for that.
Yeah.
He's a dainty sort.
Well, good riddance to him at any rate. That was fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Now here's where we get called all kinds of names by liberals.
Well, yeah, and with the video I'm going to put up right now from another TikTok creator, I'm gonna watch fucking the mass exodus from the live. So let me put this up.
All right, here we go.
It's a short video.
If Donald Trump was president right now, the liberals would be standing in solidarity of Palestine. Let me explain. Obviously, Donald Trump would be pro-Israel. He always has been. But liberals hate Donald Trump so much that they would be like, oh my God, look, Donald Trump is helping murder a bunch of Palestinian children. Oh my God, he's a demon. He's a devil. We need to vote him out. But since Joe Biden is the president right now, liberals they don't hold Joe Biden accountable, like, by no means whatsoever. And listen, I think Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am not pro Donald Trump whatsoever. But the Palestinian liberation movement would be so much stronger if Trump was president, and no one can convince me otherwise.
She's right. She's absolutely right. Yeah. There's no disputing that. I was watching, I guess it was Jill Biden who was hosting something having to do with the White House Christmas, with the decorations and the setup.
Yeah.
And just going on and on about how it's about the wonder of children, and going on and on. And it was just so fucking tone deaf, just utterly tone deaf, that they can stand by and watch the body count of slaughtered children piling up through the mechanism of their own weapons, and then talk about the wonder of children for the Christmas season. I just, oh my God. Ugh.
Well, there's been no shortage of liberals on TikTok trying to come at us all with that vote blue no matter who. Do you know how much worse it'll be if you don't vote for Biden and all that shit? But I saw one person, I forgot his name. It wasn't somebody I followed, came on my FYP. But he was stitching Harry, that young guy, yeah. Harry something.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Stitching him and his, it'll be so much worse if we don't vote for Biden thing. And he said, no, it's a year before the election, and we are telling the DNC a year ahead of time, we're not voting for Biden. If you choose to put him up there, you're going to lose. If they choose to still put him up there, that's their fault. That was his point, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, and there's no evidence whatsoever that the DNC on any level is listening to those of us who are saying
the point of the party is to represent the people that are members of it.
Mm-hmm.
And way over half of the members of that party. Now the leftists don't like taking sides with Israel in the genocide of Palestinians. But there's more moderate Democrats that don't like Biden for other reasons, just because he's old or other reasons. There's almost nobody actually wants Biden to be the nominee except for the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
So they are not representing the party at all.
Yeah, and the run-of-the-mill Democrat constantly comes back with, well, you guys are disrupting this process based on one issue alone. No, that's so easily dispelled. There is a laundry list of reasons why someone other than Biden should be the fucking nominee. This whole one issue argument can be shut down very quickly.
Right. Well, it's not one issue. It's not just Israel-Palestine. Yep. It's his record on climate change. He has not kept any of his promises from the campaign in curbing carbon fuel burning in America. Not at all. We are the number one global producer of oil now. He's increased our production of oil significantly.
Mm-hmm.
because that's good. It's good to keep gas prices down when you want to run for re-election. You know, it doesn't matter what his promises were.
Mm-hmm.
The student loan thing was a debacle. I don't know how on earth he put a plan together that ended up getting rejected by the courts, only to have another plan right after. Like, is he? And this one's, I don't know. It's almost like they just want that to be a campaign issue again. So he's not really trying to do anything about it until it can become a talking point during the campaign. His age is absolutely an issue,
Mm-hmm.
and his inability to effectively speak to Gen Z is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big problem because they're an even bigger voting bloc in 2024 than they were in 2020, and you have to appeal to them if you want to win. I don't have the numbers, but I do feel like Gen Z is getting to be bigger than boomers, population-wise.
It should be. I mean, the boomers should be dying off with any luck, and the Gen Zers are multiplying.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there's way more than one reason to not have him be the nominee. Way more.
The whole nomination.
And honestly, if he would leave, his record as a one-term president, particularly on the economy, would be one of the best. It really would. I have a lot to say about his foreign policy that I don't like, but he's done good things for the economy. Objectively, he has.
Yeah, I can identify things that have been beneficial to the economy. I can identify far more things that could have gone much further and done much more for the common person. That his failings are easy to identify, but there are so many reasons to primary him. And this is the thing about the whole primary process and the whole nomination through the party and so forth, is that since I don't know when, since Reagan, I think, for both parties, the nomination process has been an endowment, that there is an entitlement amongst certain families to hold the keys of power. When you got to, as soon as you got to Reagan, it became Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Clinton. That these nominations were foregone conclusions. And I remember when the 2015 process was going on with the Republicans, and I've fully admitted this before, I ran in Republican circles around that time, around 2013, 2014. About 2015 is when I started to realize what the fuck I was into and got as far away from them as I could. But the idea that Trump could have been the nominee when he wasn't part of the gilded class, when he wasn't part of the Camelot families that had been recycled through the political process for generations, was unthinkable. And there were plenty of people around me who were much more intelligent, educated Republicans than I was, that were saying, no, it's impossible. He won. It'll be Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was the heir apparent moving forward with all of that. And it was unthinkable to people that the aristocracy would be broken. Unfortunately, it was broken by somebody who was an absolute piece of shit. That they could have done something, anything other than Trump, but they did Trump. And when he got nominated, I rubbed it in their fucking faces. I told you motherfuckers he was going to get the nomination. I didn't think he'd get elected. I couldn't fucking. Hillary was the part of the aristocracy movement. That was a Clinton, and she was entitled to be president. And they should have, the primary should have had somebody else rise to the top. Bernie's too fucking old. Stop talking about Bernie. Bernie's not an option.
Well, now that was 7 years ago.
Bernie shouldn't have been an option 7 years ago. He was too old then. That's saying a lot. But the nomination process and the handing of the baton in both parties. That's why Biden is the heir apparent, because he's part of the Obama lineage.
Yeah. Well, we're getting. I mean, if you haven't noticed, we're getting Gavin Newsom in 2028. there's like they pick in advance. I mean, do you remember when Obama ran for the Senate?
Yeah.
He was going to be president when he was running for the Senate. That's how the media was talking about him. You know, he was coming from Chicago as a community organizer. And there's like, oh, we'll put him in the Senate, and then a couple years later, we'll have him be president. They were talking about that years before.
But, do you remember who took him under his wing and made that possible? It was Teddy Kennedy. He was adopted by the Kennedy family to become the heir apparent. And without Kennedy fostering him.
But my point is, they shouldn't be shoving candidates down our throats.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should be putting multiple candidates should be running in the primary, and let the electorate decide who the candidate is. The DNC needs to stop picking the next candidate. You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree. The TikTok
Trump
comment.
told truth, Dems lie.
Yeah, you saw that. Trump told truth, Dems lie.
Yeah.
Okay, Captain Caveman. Holy shit. All right, I think we're out of topics, aren't we?
All right, do we have anything to lighten the mood?
No.
Yes, the fuck we do. Here's a few seconds of otters in love. Damn it.
Otters in love, otters in love. They can't get enough of each other, my brother, cause otters in love, otters in love. Holding hands in a stream, holding hands in a dream. And they don't need no love songs because they show it by linking their paws.